this one could be the best so far. I have made it to the top of Big Bald. Good morning, friends. Welcome to day 50. That sounds like a big number. Sounds like a milestone, but I really couldn't make anything of it. Day 50, just another day. Just started on the trail a few minutes ago. Had a nice stay at Nature's Inn. 2 nights. Had the Nero day where I took care of my hip, and then the slack packing day yesterday. So gonna test my hip again today. I made the decision to hike with my full pack, but low miles, 7.7 miles. So today I may learn that it's the weight hurting my hips or the miles or both. We'll see. Feels pretty good right now. I did a ton of stretching this morning. This entire day is climbing. I've got a couple of little ups and downs, but it's basically a long climb to Bald Mountain and then a mile or something down the other side of Bald Mountain. So that could be good. The downs are what are hurting my knees and my hips. So we'll see. Maybe the constant climb today, it's going to be terrible on my legs and my lungs, but maybe it'll be good for my hip. So had a great morning. Again, stretched a lot. Had a good egg and cheese breakfast sandwich at Nature's Inn, so really good breakfast. And everything's clean. I'm clean. That's always a nice way to start out a stretch like I'm gonna do now for the next few days. So that's my morning, and we will see you on down the trail. Well, look at that. Welcome to Tennessee. I've been eyeballing that sign for about 1/10 of a mile now as I got closer. It's a very familiar sign to me, obviously. And I thought, oh, that's gonna be fun. The trail's gonna go right by the sign. I'll be able to stick my hand out and be the first one in Tennessee. JB and Bruce and Pete and my wife know exactly what I'm talking about. This is Interstate 26. Sam's Gap is right alongside Interstate 26. I think this goes into Asheville. But anyway, right alongside a big highway here. But the trail turns right here and goes on back the other way. So I don't get to actually get right up to the Welcome to Tennessee sign. So I guess I'll stay in North Carolina today, and we'll see Tennessee later. Of course, I've been crossing back and forth into Tennessee, between Tennessee and North Carolina for 30 miles. And on the trail, there's no Welcome to Tennessee or Welcome to North Carolina sign. But I know we've been on the border, so maybe I'll be in Tennessee again later. All right, see you later. Wow, what a spot. I just came up a big climb. Can't even find out the name of the little peak I'm on, but I'm on a little peak. And I stepped out into another one of these amazing meadows. Meadow is the only thing I can think to call it. But it's not above tree line, but there's just no trees. There's little trees over there, and that's the forest I just came out of my climb. And then here are those same reddish, viney sort of plants and the yellow grassy plants, but they're what make up these meadows. And they're so cool. I know I'm near Beech Mountain. I keep kind of trying to find it on Google Maps and then see where I am, so I can tell my cousin and her husband, who used to have a place at Beech Mountain, that I'm right where they used to go. Diana, I hope you're watching this, but I think Beech Mountain is out there somewhere. But here's the cool thing. That is not quite due north, almost. I think due north is over there. But if you look right up there, you see a completely stone above tree line mountaintop, and that is Big Bald, and that is where I'm going right now. That's right on the other side of that is my destination for the night, but I'm going to go right up and over Big Bald, one of the highlights of this section of the trail. So I guess I'm going to go right down the trail, which is right there. You can see the white blaze right there. I guess I'll go off into the woods here somewhere and somehow among these little mountains and ridges traverse my way up, hopefully with lots of switchbacks. And in 2 or 3 hours, probably 3 hours, I'll be right up there on Big Bald, looking back this way. All right. Amazing. Beautiful day. Stunning day. A little bit chilly. It's about 45 degrees, but just a fabulous day. See you on down the trail. Okay. Now, see what happens sometimes. You come up the trail, and there's a little cooler that says Trail Magic. And right across from the little cooler is an adorable bench. And down the hill from the bench is an amazing view. So whoever you are, Trail Angel, thank you. Well, this one could be the best so far. I have made it to the top of Big Bald. I'm going to do a 360 for you here in a second. But the first thing I want to show you is that little clear area. I'm circling it right there. Is exactly where I was 3 hours ago. That's that little meadow that I popped out of where I could see the top of Big Bald. But I am just gonna circle and walk a little bit. This bald is actually very flat. So to really get the full sense of the sights, you kind of have to circle and walk. This is pointing to the north. That's Irwin, Tennessee, right there. I'll be there in 2 days. It's about 20 miles from here. Way out there. Bet you can't really see any detail in my video, but right where my trekking pole is pointing, that's Johnson City in the Tri-Cities area. I did pull up Google Maps to finally check all this. I'm looking down there in this meadow and I see someone walking right there. I think that's my friend John Boy, who I was with last night. That's probably 2 miles ahead of me. That's about how fast he was going. But look at this. Holy cow. 60 years of gratitude, 1987.
We can build this thing together, standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still have each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us. I'm tired of the excuses everybody uses. Is their head. I stay out of there. But who gave you the right to do this?
It's gonna take time, a whole lot of precious time. It's gonna take patience and time to do it, 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 to do it right, child. I got my mind set.
Okay, good afternoon. 60 years of gratitude, 1987. Okay, 1987. I was 21 years old. It actually struck me last night. I should have said this in yesterday's episode, but 1986, I was 20 years old. a third of the way through my 60 years of gratitude. But for 1987, I was 21, a senior in college, and I've got 3 gratitudes today, all associated with college. The first one, again, I could have put this in any one of the last 3 episodes, but I'm just going to put it here. It's just gratitude for Tufts University. I loved college. I loved Tufts. Tufts did a great job preparing me for the working world, preparing me to work with others and collaborate. While I was a biology major, I was a U.S. foreign policy and classical literature. Tufts didn't have minors, but concentrations. And I'm going to talk about the U.S. foreign policy one here in a second. But that good little mix of learning, I think, set me up really well to be a productive member of society. I also had a lot of fun, and so I have a lot of gratitude for Tufts University. My second one is for a professor. I told you a few episodes ago, I don't remember many of my college professors, but this one I do. His name was Martin Sherwin. I looked him up recently. I think he has passed away. Hope I have not just made him pass away, or passed a man who has not passed away, but I think he has passed away now. But Martin Sherwin was, at the time, in the late 80s, a legend in Cold War politics and foreign policy. And I don't remember his bio. I probably should have looked it up, but I think he was a presidential advisor and maybe a deputy something or other. But extremely well respected and well connected in the foreign policy world, and an expert in Cold War politics, which of course the late 80s was the ending of the Cold War. So he was an expert in his time. And he taught a class at Tufts that got quite a bit of notoriety. It was not something I was interested in. I was not a history guy of any kind, political science or anything. But he taught a class that was a Cold War politics class, and it was taught in conjunction, simulcast actually, with a Russian university. So pretty groundbreaking, both in concept and in technology. With today's world of Zoom, this is a no-brainer. But back in 1987 and 88, the idea of simulcasting a course was a technological achievement. And I don't think every single lecture was, maybe one a week was. We would be sitting in a gigantic lecture hall, and we would see on the screen the Russian class. And when the Russian professor was speaking, we heard a translation. And when Professor Sherwin was speaking, they heard a translation. And so again, a groundbreaking class, and piqued my interest in U.S. foreign policy, such that I spent the better half of my senior year, or most of my senior year, filling electives with U.S. foreign policy classes because of the inspiration of Martin Sherwin and the books he wrote. We studied with all books that he wrote. So that's my little gratitude, my little shout out for Professor Sherwin. My second one is for another Tufts person, Bruce Reitman. Bruce was the Dean of Students when I was at Tufts, and for my junior and senior year, I was a resident assistant, an RA, and worked for Bruce Reitman. And my gratitude for Bruce Reitman runs deep, but is for a couple of reasons. Generally, his leadership and management style was very trusting, very had a lot of faith that the people he hired to be RAs would do the right thing. And I always enjoyed talking to him, and I enjoyed working for him. But there is a specific gratitude too. When I was a senior in the dorm where I was an RA, there was a big issue, a big rules violation issue, and there was a student who decided to make trouble for a lot of people by reporting all of us for violating rules. And frankly, I can say this honestly, no funny faces, no side eye, that I was not the guilty party in this, but I was there, I was caught up in it, and it was the kind of rules violation that Bruce Reitman could have fired us all and disciplined us all. And I remember having a one-on-one meeting with Bruce where he asked me for my story, my side of the story, which I told him very truthfully. And his answer was, try to use better judgment next time. Don't even put yourself into a situation where this could happen. Don't let it happen again. Get back to doing a good job as an RA. And I will never forget that. I will never forget his wisdom and his judgment and his belief that the handful of us were telling the truth. And for that, I am very grateful, very thankful. And so all three of my gratitudes today surround Tufts, and that is 1987. We'll see you on down the trail. My old hiking buddies, Fogg and Lakeland, commented on one of my YouTube videos today and said they're a couple of days ahead of me and hoped that the fire a couple of days north on the trail would be under control. And there it is. I'm going to zoom in and show you. I am guessing that's what they're talking about right there. Now they said that's still north of Irwin. I'm still 2 days from Irwin. My zooming in kind of makes it look like I might stumble across that fire today. But it's, according to them, north of Irwin on the trail. So that's probably 10 or 15 miles north of here. A couple of days north of here. Anyway, thanks for the heads up, Fogg. Hopefully it's just a small one. Okay, friends. Time to wrap up day 51. It is 6 o'clock. I am at Bald Mountain Shelter, which is right behind me right there. I got a little fire going here. I'm here alone right now. A couple from Germany came by about 2 hours ago, had lunch and kept going, but talking to them was nice. I've actually pitched my tent out there. You can see it. Not going to stay in the shelter tonight. Super light day, 7.7 miles. I had my full pack on. So this was another test day. Yesterday was the slack pack 8-mile test, and my left hip felt good. Today was the full pack 7-mile test day, and my left hip felt good. What do I mean by good? It hurts. I can still feel it. It's still got a lot of discomfort. Whatever's going on in that hip joint is still happening, but way better than 3 days ago when I limped the last 7 miles. Way better than 2 days ago when I limped those first 3 miles. So no question, the long day off, or the Nero, helped. And then 2 light days, one with a slack pack, one with low miles, have helped. Now I got to try to figure out, what my limits are, and maybe I just keep doing low miles until my hip feels better, not just good or okay. Of course, the problem is doing 7-mile days. not going to make any progress. I got here to the shelter today at 1:15 maybe, and that's obviously not sustainable. Just beautiful, beautiful hiking day, and you know, I sat around here. It's been 5 hours of sitting around here, so just gonna have to keep testing it and see how I do. So 51 is a wrap. I'm gonna eat my dinner. I'm sitting here at the picnic table, got my food bag out. I'm gonna make myself some dinner and go to bed. It's gonna be kind of cold tonight. I think it's gonna get down to 30 degrees tonight, so I will probably, as soon as that sun goes down, I bet it's going to get cold. So I'll probably be in bed at 6 now, probably 7 o'clock tonight, and I'll just get up and do it again tomorrow. Another light day, a few more miles, I think 10 tomorrow, so maybe I'm pushing it too soon. But pushing it to another shelter tomorrow night. And then Thursday, I'll go into I'll go into Uncle Johnny's hostel. So that's the day today. That's the plan tomorrow. We'll see you in the morning. Good night.